Hey, good evening. Happy Tuesday. I pray that you're having an amazing Tuesday. Let's get started. Sorry for our tardiness, but I want to make sure that we jump in and we have an amazing conversation, church conversation with our pastor and the psychiatrist. Come on, do me a humongous favor right now. I need you to share it. No, seriously. I need you to come in. I need you to let me know where you're viewing from. I need you to share it. I need you to tap all of your friends and tell them jump in. This is really an amazing space to get some great content, positive environment, in an atmosphere where you can absolutely receive something as well as sit in the comfort of your home. In 2021, we have the privilege of not having to go from house to house to tell people about the good news. We have the privilege of just touching the button and letting people know that this is going on tonight on a Tuesday, Church Conversation with Dr. Natasha Stewart. I'm excited about it. I am overjoyed about it. That's why I'm exactly on the couch. Now, I'm not on this couch for no prompts. I'm not sitting on this couch because it looked good. I'm not sitting on this couch because it's expensive. I'm sitting on this couch because I absolutely need myself to sit on the couch. And this entire night is designed to help individuals understand the parallel importance between spiritual counseling and professional counseling, to understand chemical depression, situational depression, all of these different things. So I want you to do me a humongous favor. Tell everybody you possibly can right now, jump on this live. And I'm excited to have so many people, but most importantly, I'm excited to have Dr. Natasha Stewart with us to really bring home and to help us navigate during these times. New Orleans, before I bring Dr. Stewart on, I want to really highlight this because we are Louisiana right now, New Orleans, and some of our sub-cities that surround us. We're going through an even worse season where we're not only going through the pandemic, we're not only going through job loss at an all-time high, we're not only going through unemployment, we're dealing with all kinds of disparities in our communities. We're dealing with our educational curriculum being totally transformed. We're dealing with the separation of charter school, public school, blase, blase. But then we just got hit by Hurricane Ida. For so many of you all who we've talked to over the last couple of weeks who was dealing with the trauma of Hurricane Katrina being present in Hurricane Ida, it's an important, and it was overwhelming trying to understand your plight. So I thought it was important that part 2 of the Church Conversation with Dr. Natasha Stewart, it should be done now. We did it in the beginning of the pandemic because everybody was going through the injustices and dealing with the social distancing. But now it's very important. So every person that they need to be in this room. Hey, listen, I want to bring on Dr. Natasha Stewart, the Director of Counseling Behavior for the Potter's House in Dallas. I am a fan. I'm not just saying that because she on with us tonight. I'm really a fan. Some stuff she said last time, I'm still chewing on it right now. Come on, let's bring Dr. Natasha Stewart on with us tonight so she can wave at everybody and say, hey, what to say, Doc? Doc, I was really just sitting back and let me just start by saying thank you so very much for making time and space in your calendar and your schedule to just fit us in, right? And to really come and help us to navigate during these moments. I believe wholeheartedly the mismanagement of certain moments can create permanent misery or temporary misery or whatever that sound like or look like. I think moments are to be managed properly. And not just from a spiritual perspective, Pastor Everett and Rock of Ages and many other pastors in the city of New Orleans and around the country, but I think it is time out for the taboo approach to mental health and professional health, that we really embrace both counseling aspects. So I want to say thank you again for coming in and having this conversation. Doc, do you see me on the couch tonight, though? I am on the couch, and I want people to know that I'm not on the couch because it looked good. I'm on the couch because I need it, right? And so tonight, I think it's going to be an amazing night. Doc, I want to start off by if you introduce yourself, Doc, if you could.
Hello, I am Dr. Natasha Stewart. I currently serve as the director for the Center of Counseling and Behavioral Health at the Potter's House under the tutelage of Bishop T.D. Jakes. I have been there going on 15 years. I have a passion for talking about mental health in the faith-based community and beyond, especially in the community of color. And when I say color, not just African American, but Asian, Hispanic, Latino, all of us, because we have a disparity in our communities when it comes to mental health. So I like to bring awareness and light so people can understand what it is and how to address it appropriately and professionally.
Wow. Thank you so very much, Doc, for that. And we honestly appreciate your service to not just to the state of Dallas and the cities by which you and your church, but we thank you for reaching all the way out down here in the booth and kind of talk to us about some things. Let me jump right in, Doc. There's something we discovered in the first conversation that was really talking about what are some of the stigmas of mental health or mental illnesses or anything of that matter? What are some of those things that many people fight against, shove against from a community perspective and even from an ethnicity perspective? What are some of those stigmas that we're absolutely dealing with today?
Wow, there's so much. And so let me clarify about what mental health is, because people tend to believe that they don't have mental health, but everyone living and breathing has mental health. And there's a difference between mental health and mental illness. Okay. All of us have mental health.
We talked about that last time. You got to break that down, Come on.
Okay. So mental health is how you relate to the world around you, the people around you. That is mental health. So when we talk about mental health, it's how you're living. I like to break it down how you live, love, laugh, and play. Okay, how you live, love, laugh, and play. That is mental health. How you relate to the world around you is mental health. Mental illness is what most people are familiar with when we are talking about mental health. They associate it with mental illness. Now, mental illness is a chronic disease that has a medical underlying condition. Okay, so mental illness may be depression, it can be anxiety, it can be post-traumatic stress disorder, all of those things that we hear about. That is mental illness. Mental health is the way you think and relate to the world around you. So we all have mental health, but we don't all have mental illness. So we all have to take care of our mental health, just like you have to take care of your physical health. All of us have physical health. And I like to break it down. Just because I'm taking care of my physical health doesn't mean I have a chronic medical condition like diabetes, cancer, high blood pressure, but I'm still taking care of my physical health, not in the light of a physical illness. Okay. So we understand you can have a physical illness or you can have physical health. Same thing with mental health. You can have mental health and then you can have mental illness. Okay. So let's break down some of the stereotypes or stigmas in our community and communities of color. Okay. One is that we don't do that. Wow. People of color don't go see a therapist. Yeah. If you were like me, when you grew up, it was very common to hear what happens in this house stays in this house.
Yeah, yeah.
Why are you going to go tell somebody your business? Keep your business behind closed doors. But keeping our business behind closed doors has been toxic and been damaging. Mm-hmm. So we need to have conversations. So that's the first thing, that people of color don't do therapy. Myth. Mm-hmm. Okay. Second big thing is that if you do therapy, it's for those chronic illnesses that I talked about, like depression or anxiety or schizophrenia, bipolar, things of that nature. They don't think just because you have relational problems or you have conflicts at work that equates to going to see a therapist. Yeah. It does. Yeah. Okay. And then the other one is the financial concern. They think counseling is costly and expensive. And some people are. Okay. So let's be honest. Some people are. But there are providers, and I work for one, that you can get services free. We ask for a donation, whatever you're able to donate. If that's $0 or $500, whatever is comfortable for you to donate, that's what we ask for. And if that means nothing, that means nothing. So therapy is affordable. And since this pandemic, a lot of different places have been offering reduced fee for services for people to come and talk. Okay. And talk therapy is so important, and you do it all the time. You just don't realize that you're doing it. You're not doing it with professionals. Yeah. So you're doing it with your friends and your family. And so you're not getting the benefit of professional training. And it's more than just telling about your problems. Sometimes if you're around like-minded people, you're all looking at the same forest and can't tell the difference. Yeah. You need somebody who's been specially trained to help you get insight and understanding and awareness and break cycles, So those probably are the three biggest myths that I hear in our communities. That one, we don't do that. Two, it's only for chronic problems or 3, we can't afford it. It's out our price range. And the other one is that there's no counselors that look like me.
Wow. Wait. That's big. That's big.
That's huge, right?
Yeah, that's huge.
That's huge. There are counselors that look like you. Whatever you is, there's a counselor that fits you. And you might have to do a little research, but there's a ton of information. If you just go to a search engine and type in African American therapist near me, something's going to come up. If you type in male therapist near me, female therapist near me, faith-based therapist near me, it's going to come up. And this is the thing, not one size doesn't fit all.
Wow,
okay.
Wow.
So if you find a therapist and you don't quite gel with them, or you don't think they're culturally competent, then change therapists. Just like you would change a doctor or change a dentist or change mechanic. You have the right to change a therapist if it is not a good fit, or if you're going to somebody and you want somebody who understands, that phrase I said, what stays in this house, what's said in this house stays in this house, and you don't want to have to explain the backstory. You can find somebody who is culturally competent and trained professionally to address those issues. So once again, you have to do your homework, but we exist, and there are whole sites that are dedicated to therapists of color.
Wow, that's big, Doc. I thank you so very much for hitting. And I think those are some of the most popular and some of the deeper issues that's not just with our community, but amongst all of our people. And one of the things that we're struggling with is the one size fit all. And one of the language barriers that we often hear from that community is freedom of choice. And me and you talked about it earlier about how that freedom of choice give that person a right to find the right doctor, right? To make sure that doctor is helping them holistically to move forward and to make progress and make a better movement, correct?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
I almost sound like a doctor just now.
You do. I'm gonna call you Dr. Pastor, because that's the thing. We have freedom of choice, and I really enable my clients and just people in general. You always have options. Never feel stuck in any situation. You always have options, and it may take you a moment to step back and reassess and figure out what your options are. But you always have options, and you do not have to stay stuck in any situation, whether it's with a counselor, a therapist, a church, a job, a relationship. You are never stuck. You always have options. You may be scared of your options and might not want to take up on your options, but you always have options.
Wow. I want to jump into this, Doc. So we've been not just dealing with the pandemic down here in Louisiana, right? And this is the mecca of why we're sitting here tonight. Not only dealing with the pandemic, not just dealing with the unemployment, not just dealing with the labor shortage around the country, not just dealing with all of the other things that is surrounding that and, different things, but we just got hit by a hurricane. And so some of the things I want to throw on the table is, and you can give us some practical tools as to how we navigate through this season or through this moment, is you have so many people who are dealing with grief from the pandemic and the hurricane, right? And then I've experienced as a pastor, and this is one of the reasons why I wanted to have this conversation, because I get it all, right? They come in, they talk, and they share, and they are transparent and things of that nature. So we're dealing with people who is dealing with PTSD from Hurricane Katrina. We're dealing with people who had to move from hotels to hotels, and it was a trigger to what they had to experience during Hurricane Katrina. We had people who was closed into the car on the highway for 13 hours, right? Some of the same things that they had to do in Hurricane Katrina. What are some of the things that you can suggest to the city of New Orleans citizens, as well as surrounding cities, to help them kind of navigate through this moment?
I think is realizing that you have been traumatized. Okay, you have been through multiple traumas. Okay, some are man-made traumas and some are natural traumas that are beyond your control. You're in the midst of a crisis. Okay, and before you can get out one, here comes another. Okay, so you need to be kind to yourself. Give yourself permission not to be strong.
Wow.
Okay.
Wow.
A lot of times, especially in communities of color, all we know is strong black male, strong black female. We do not know how to be vulnerable. We're not allowed to say we don't have the answer or that I'm tired. It's okay.
Yeah.
Give yourself permission to say, I'm tired
Yeah.
and I'm not okay and I'm not at my best and I'm scared or I'm anxious or I'm depressed or I'm sad or I'm disappointed. You get to feel all those emotions.
Yeah.
Okay. And you don't have to be strong for everybody else. Sometimes the strong person needs somebody to lean on. And this is where I really like pastors and leadership. You are strong for everybody else. And sometimes you experience compassion fatigue, meaning not that I'm not called to this, not that I don't want to help, but it's overwhelming. How do I help others when I'm trying to help me too?
Wait.
We experience the storm.
That's big, right? That's big. Wait. That's why I'm on the couch. I gotta stop it right there. So give yourself permission to experience your emotions, right? But also you don't have to always be strong. You gotta break that down just a little bit more, Doc, because I'm about to eat off that too. Come on, let's go.
Okay, yeah, because this is the thing. When everybody perceives you as strong, they don't offer you help.
Ooh,
they think you got it figured out.
Wow. When they perceive you to be strong, they don't offer any help.
Yes, because you're the one who always has the answers. You're the one who always comes through for everybody else. So nobody checks on you. Okay. So now we have to learn, the people that are leaders and people in position and pastors, you have to learn to voice, I need help right now.
Yeah.
I can't be there for you. I need somebody to be there for me. And it's okay to say no. It's okay to have boundaries. And it's okay to put yourself first.
Wow.
And that's not selfishness. It's self-care. You're a limited quantity. Okay.
Wow.
You're just you. Okay.
Wow.
You can't hold the whole world in your hand. Okay. There's a song that says God holds the whole world in his hand. You're not God. I can't hold all that. I only can hold so much. And right now my hands are full.
Wow.
And I have to figure out a way to alleviate or put down some of the things that I'm holding so I can take care of me and take care of my family. And a lot of times leaders are looked at like they're superhuman, like they have this cape.
Yeah.
And you have to tell people that I lost too.
Wow.
My home was affected too.
Yeah.
My children were affected too. I don't know what we're going to do either. My lights are out too. There ain't only light shining over here is Jesus. Okay. So sometimes people forget that you're experiencing the same things they are. And that is part of the trauma.
Yeah.
Trauma is built of three things. I'll give you 3 E's. It's the event. It's the experience.
Yeah.
And then it's the effect.
Okay. Event, experience, effect. Come on, everybody got that down in the comment section. Event, experience, effect. Come on, one more time. I gotta say, I'm saying.
So you have the event. The event was Hurricane Ida. Then how you experienced that. And some people had different experiences with it. Okay. And so your experience is uniquely yours. Okay. And we don't get to compare who was worse. It was all bad. Okay. Because a lot of times the human nature would like to compare. Well, I lost this. What did you lose?
Wow.
Nobody wins that way. We all lost. It was a collective loss. Okay. So you have the event, you have the experience, how you experienced it, and you don't have to try to one up anybody. Your event and your experience is your experience. Then you have how it affects you. Some people moved through this just fine and said, hey, it's just another hurricane. We're going to rebuild. We're going to do this. And they seemingly are fine. Other people are traumatized or they're triggered from Hurricane Katrina. Happened 16 years ago, right?
Right.
And they're traumatized. So everybody's effect is different. So same event for everybody, but the experience and the effect are going to be different.
Wow.
Okay? Wow. And we have to have compassion and understand that. And we have to start asking the question, are you able to hold this?
Wow.
Is this am I able to let you hold this for me? Because if you don't have the capacity to hold this for me, then I need to find another safe space. And as people, there's always a strong one in the family. It's always a strong one at work. There's always the pastor. And strong people have to learn to say, I don't have the capacity to hold your weight right now.
Wow. That's big.
And if I was to put that in counseling terms, it would be boundaries. You have to have good boundaries. So you take care of yourself. Boundaries are meant to protect you. Just like on the highway when you're driving, there's a boundary so you don't cross into the other lane, right?
Yeah.
You see that yellow line. And you know that's a marker. Not that you're not traveling, not that you're not moving forward, but there's a boundary to keep it safe. Yeah. I have to have a boundary to keep everything safe and in its proper place.
Yeah. That is so important. That's so big. I just got full just off that, right? I did say this, Doc, and we have Dr. Jones coming up to talk to us, but I wanted to bring this up, and I shared with you just a few minutes ago. This is a question I've literally been trying to understand from more than just a spiritual perspective. I've really been trying to understand it from a psychological perspective. Matthew chapter number 7, right? So it's the pastor and the psychiatrist. Let me just sprinkle some scriptures in there, right? And I know you super spiritual, right? So I've been trying to understand the text where it says, and this is me, this is a full-blown transparent moment. The pastor is struggling with this. Let me sit right on the couch so I can make sure that I get it right. So I've been wrestling with this for years, literally, to try to understand. Now, I understand evildoers, right? I understand evil people do evil things. And I understand people, they could take a car and go about their business, blah, blah, blah. That's evildoers. But the second phrase of that scripture says, and beware of evildoers and workers of iniquities, right? And I struggle with understanding the mental, the psychic, the understanding of people who sit down and absolutely plan to destroy a person. And then they will go to another person's funeral and they'll cry. It's like a twisted psychosis, right? It's how in the world people can sit at a table and plan to destroy a person. I know there's many contributions to that mindset, and I know it's like a metamorphosis, right? It's like so much that goes into it. What are some of those contributing factors that a person have to get there? Is it attention? I'll be trying to put all this in my head because even as a pastor,
figure it out.
Yeah, I'm trying to figure it out. And even as a pastor, I sit back, I struggle with forgiving those type of people. I ain't mean to confess that, but I struggle.
No, but that's the truth. That shows your humanness. You're human. Because how can I forgive you when you intentionally devise a plan to hurt somebody or bring harm to someone? Okay? Yes. And we see that all the time, right? We see that in the mass shootings at churches of color, schools, just hate crimes, wave of hate crimes against Asians during the pandemic. And you're like, who is sitting down plotting this and think it's okay? And so we all struggle with that, Pastor. You're not alone. We all struggle with that. And is there a psychological component? Most definitely. There has to be something off for you to want to do harm to another person, okay? And then we have the spiritual side. I think it's a demonic influence and persuasion. So you have that piece, and then we have in this world, we have gotten so desensitized to other people's suffering and other people's hurt and pain, that it's desensitized us. And the thing is, this generation, they do not know how to relate if it doesn't come in 40 characters and across the screen. Okay? We are losing human connection. And when you lose human connection, then you lose the ability to feel empathy. And if we can go trace this all the way back to Genesis, and it's just gotten worse, where Cain and Abel. How can you kill your brother who did nothing wrong to you? Nothing wrong. And you killed him and went on about your business.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. So this is from the beginning. This is not a new thing. This is from the beginning, and it talks about, if we look at it, his socialization, what was going on that you could kill a member of your own family and really have no remorse.
Wow. Wow.
Okay, so this is an age-old struggle. And that's why I think it takes God for us to forgive. It takes the Holy Spirit to help us to walk that out and to live that out, because we can't do it in and of ourselves. Mm-hmm. And I don't think we'll ever fully understand why somebody has the capacity to do that. But I think contributing factors are, once again, how we're socialized. Is there abuse? A lot of times when we go back and we study these individuals, there's been patterns of abuse in their life. People hurt.
Yeah.
They've been desensitized by society and watching stuff over and over. That's why I always encourage parents to limit how many violent movies or cartoons and different things your child watches, because they're formulating opinions. And if there's nobody to come in and say what's right and wrong, they come up with this own stuff. And the Bible says foolishness is bound up in the heart of a child. Right? So we have to make sure we have some structure to make sense of what they're seeing. Because if you watch The Roadrunner, he gets hurt, but he keeps coming back, right? You never see him bleed. You never see him die. It's just the little birds fly around his head and he moves on. And so if you're thinking, oh, I can hit somebody with a hammer and they're going to be okay.
Yeah.
You know, and once you see stuff often enough, that's what you believe. Okay. And so we have to be careful of what messages people are getting, what they're watching, what kind of music they're listening to. All those things contribute to your mental health and how you relate to the world and how you see the world. Okay. And one of the videos I tell parents all the time, and I'm guilty of this, you know, I got it for my son too, until I really saw it. And then I was like, I don't think you need to play this video game, is Grand Theft Auto.
Oh, yeah. You
know, where you got bonus points for hitting people and killing people and getting in high-speed chases with the police. And I said, wait a minute, this is not how I'm socializing him. This is not what I want him to think is normal. Okay. And so I had to say, wait, I'm sorry. I made a mistake. I bought the game. I didn't know what it was. I just thought it was something, you know, good for entertainment, but it's not. So we have to actively be aware of what messages we're sending to our kids, to our teenagers, to our young adults, even adults. What are we saying? And I remember one time, and I'm not trying to put any TV show or anything on blast, but I remember very specifically going out to a lunch with a group of my girlfriends, and I brought my daughter along. And we were talking about the latest show was very popular on TV, and we were talking about it. And when we got in the car, and she said, "So adultery is okay?"
Wow.
And I'm like,
wow.
She's a young child, and I'm glorifying this show. That's all. I couldn't even watch the show no more, Pastor. I had to turn it off. I turned the show off because I couldn't. Because I said, how am I trying to teach her what's right and wrong? But I'm watching this, and not saying that you can't indulge. But when she's around, or when people are around that I need to give instruction to, and make sure they understand this is entertainment. This is not real life. This is not the values we hold. This is what we want to do. So you have to have that balance, and you have to make sure you're providing information along with entertainment. Does that make sense?
It make a whole lot of sense. I just, you know, thank you so very much, Doc, for making that very clear to me. Some of those psychological components. And thank you for making that suggestion. I've really been wanting to ask somebody that question for a long time. I was very ashamed to ask that question, being that we, as pastors, or just people, good people, genuine people, who just try to do good for everybody, it just seems like, right, that it wouldn't be the people you help the most that try to hurt you the worst, right? And that's the part that cuts me real. I should have brought him some tissue. I'd say I wasn't going to do it.
No, but I'm reminded of that scripture, and I think it's Paul, where he said, or it might have been David, if he said, I could have bore the wound if it hadn't been from a friend.
Yeah. Ooh.
You know? Yeah, I could have borne it. But it was from a friend. And sometimes the people close to us have the ability to hurt us the most.
Wow.
You know? And once again, it's just like, it's one of those things that you have to bring to the Father and say, God, you got to help me, because in my humanness, I don't want to forgive. In my humanness, I don't understand this. And I don't understand why it happened. And I don't like that it happened. Now you have to help me. And that's where a trained professional can help you make sense of it. Because this is the thing. Mm-hmm. You can feel more than one emotion about an event or a person. Mm-hmm. Okay. Mm-hmm. So you can love your mother, but you can also be disappointed with your mother, or angry with your mother, or frustrated, whoever that person is. You can have conflicting emotions, and you don't have to choose either or. They both can exist. It's and with.
Wow.
I love my mother, but I'm disappointed you didn't protect me. I'm upset that you let my stepfather mess with me. You know, you can have both. And a lot of times we're taught to choose one emotion. You either have to be angry and hate her, or you just have to love her. No, I can do both.
Yeah.
I can love you, and I can be upset with you and disappointed with you because you allowed some things to occur in my life that shouldn't.
Wow. That's big. That's big. Hold on a second, Doc. We having this guy, Dr. Jones, in. All right. I want to bring Dr. Jones on, because this is about to be a whole nother layer of medical, professional, clinical conversation. Dr. Jones, Stephen Jones, is the CEO of Urgent Care 11 down here in the city of New Orleans, which is one of our amazing urgent cares that do a lot for people, not just a lot for people, but a lot for people in our inner city and in our communities. Stand-up guy, did an amazing work during the beginning of the pandemic, making sure all of our people get exactly what they needed, from medicine all the way to rapid testing. I want to bring Dr. Jones on to see what to say, Doc.
Dr. Stewart, how are you?
Good, sir. How are you doing?
Doing great.
Good.
Doing great. Look, I think we lost Pastor Everett, but we can chat.
Yes, we can chat. We can move forward, because I know he had told me earlier that you introduce yourself. How about we start there?
Dr.
Introduce
Jones,
yourself.
Hi, I'm Stephen Jones. I'm a community physician, family medicine doc. I run a clinic called Urgent Care 11 in the 9th Ward of New Orleans. So I've been doing that now about 8 years, and look, I've been taking so many notes from you, Dr. Stewart. I know your patients love you to pieces, because just how influential and just the things that you say, how they connect on so many levels, right? About the trauma and the being strong and the just compassion fatigue and some of the things that we've been having to deal with since COVID, and really are just kind of continual peace. So I made some notes. I wanted to ask a question to you.
Yes, please feel free.
So look, you talked a lot about the about kind of what that fatigue and trauma looks like in relationship to Katrina, right? Mm-hmm. And what I'm curious about, again, COVID. Look, I'll be honest with you. I thought it was here to come and go,
right? And
then stayed here, and then stayed here, and then got worse, and now it's just kind of a walking unknown. So I'm curious, like when your patients come to you and say, "Look, I just want to go out, hug my cousin at a restaurant, and have a good time like we used to," and I'm so tired of wearing this mask and people telling me what to do and take my shots and get swabbed. How do you? And again, my last part of the question, I'll be honest with you, I keep pushing the same message, but I'm fatigued as well, right?
Right.
How do you? What type of message do you give to that person that has an indefinite ending?
And this is the thing, we're living with the unknown. And this is what I tell people. You want to go out, you want to socialize, because that's what we're designed to do. Okay. And in order to do that, though, we have to overcome this first. So I can't give you a date, because what you want is a time frame. I can't give you a time frame. And the power comes in acceptance. accepting that we have no control over this. And that's what COVID has challenged with us. It has challenged our control, it has challenged our competency, and it's challenged our connectedness. And so I tell them that this is what you're struggling with. One, control. Somebody telling you shelter in place, somebody telling you you have to wear a mask, somebody telling you you have to social distance. That is challenging your control. So in this instance, give up control. Give up control. Let's not get into a power struggle, okay? Your competency is being challenged. How am I going to manage through this? Am I going to get through this? Yes, you are. You have to tell yourself the right messages. I am going to get through this, and I'm going to get through it by doing A, B, C, and D. And get yourself a routine and practice the routine. And then your connectedness. Okay. Yes, we want to go hug and we want to go out, but we have to do it safely. What does that look like for you? And each person is different. Okay. What does that look like for you? Come up with a plan for yourself. If your plan is I'm going to wear a mask and I'm going to social distance and I am going to get vaccinated, then that is great for you. However, your neighbor might say, oh, this is, I don't believe in the science and they're just trying to do this and do that, and I'm not. So you have to make a choice. Okay, I don't disown the individual, but I'm going to keep myself safe. So we're going to meet via Zoom. Okay, we're not going out. Okay, we're going to do some things, because if that's your belief, I'm not trying to challenge your belief. What I'm trying to do is keep everybody safe. And so I encourage people to come up with their own personal safety plan for their household and your level of comfort. And understand we can't control what's out our control. So you're going to drive yourself through loops if you try to control what you can't. So what can we control? Let's lay out a plan of what we can control and then believe for the best.
Now, I know some patient just said, Dr. Stewart, thank you so much. That's so beautiful. But on TV yesterday, what they said was something different. And then on TV day before that, they told me something different. And on Facebook, they told me a third thing. So,
and this is what I'm telling them: turn off your TV, because you're listening to too many voices. You're listening to too many voices, and you're getting confused, because everybody has their own opinion, and that's why it's important to come up with your plan that makes you feel safe and secure. And it should be based on CDC or leading experts in the field, not your grandmama. Not your friend who's been on Facebook and saw this study overseas and they said this and they said that. Listen, you have to decide who you're going to listen to, and you can't have all these voices talking to you, because you're going to get confusion. And where there's confusion, there's mess. Okay, so you have to figure out for yourself, what voice am I going to listen to? Is that what medical professional I'm going to listen to, and then come up with a plan for yourself. And regardless of what anybody else does, stay focused on your plan, because what you're trying to do is manage your own anxiety, manage your own depression, manage your own things that come up, and you can't do that with everything else. And so I'm a faith-based person, so I was kind of bring it back to a scripture a little bit. It's like David, when he went to go up against Goliath. Saul tried to give him his armor, and he said, listen, he put it on, but he said, this doesn't fit me. I have to go back to what I know. And he said, that's the slingshot and the rock. That's what I killed the lion with. That's what I killed the bear with. So I'm telling you, you can't put on everybody else's armor. You have to figure out what works for you. And they might have the fancy shining armor, but you might have that old rugged cross, okay? Or that old slingshot, and that works for you. Find what works for you and develop a plan around that, and block out the noise. And once again, watching too much TV, taking in too much information can be as traumatizing as not having any information.
Wow.
Absolutely. I find it so, one, thank you for that perspective. And I will use it tomorrow. Right. But what's interesting to me, I think, is again the effects on our communities of color that we treat every day, that I'm sure you treat every day, and how deep people's opinions get rooted, right? The barbershop, it's one of my favorite places in the earth, And I sit there sometimes and go, "This is Twilight Zone. This has got to be a Twilight Zone." The fact that people have formed an opinion from when it was first started, and now still hold on to that, regardless of what medical professional or a health-based person or anyone they've chosen to follow, gives them as far as good information. So all I tell folks is I say, hey, look. My opinion is just based on the information I had at the time.
Yeah,
I am not that opinion, and it doesn't hurt my feelings if I have to change my opinion because yesterday I had this information, but today I've got new information and I am allowed to change my opinion. And I just leave that out there for everybody, and kind of let them chew on that. But every time I get my haircut, it's a vaccine COVID test party. I swear they wait on me to get there. So
they do, Dr. Jones. They do.
So I'm curious, how do you work with your patients, especially people of color, and say, I understand this is your opinion, but you have to be aware that these facts and COVID has continued to move and evolve.
And once again, it's repetition. It's continually saying that, and our community, and once they believe something, that's what they believe. Right. And so I say, okay, with your beliefs, because I can't challenge your belief and I can't change your belief. But with your belief, how does that make your life livable? How does it make your life livable with peace? Because the goal is peace. I don't care if you agree with me or not. I want you to have a peaceable life. So can you have a peaceable life with your viewpoint? And what does that look like? How does that play out? Okay. And is that having a positive impact on you, or is your belief having a negative impact and you possibly want to change it? This is what I found out about people. When they hurt long enough, then they'll change. They ain't gonna change because you went to school and you're a doctor and you have MD behind your name. That's not gonna change them, Dr. Jones. What's gonna change them is life. And my grandmother used to say, life's gonna teach you what you wouldn't let me show you. So sometimes you have to let them go out there, and you're caring, you're a helping profession, and you want to protect them, but sometimes we can't protect people from natural consequences. I have to let you experience the natural consequences because that will teach you more than I could ever say.
Spoke like a true parent.
Oh my God. What's up? Listen, I was listening to you all and I had to jump in there because she said something about I'm gonna let life teach you what I couldn't. Say it again, Doc. I was about to mess that all up just now.
I'm gonna let life teach you what you wouldn't let me tell you. And we all been there, right? Whatever the issue is, whether it's a relationship, whether it's COVID, whether it's trauma, whether it's whatever it is, we've all been there in our life. When I look back, there were some things somebody tried to tell me, but I love them.
Yeah.
Okay. When my heart got broken, I came back. Now, what you say? He was. He is. Okay. But I had to go find out for myself, right?
Yeah.
So there's some things I stop arguing with people. If you say the sky is red, I'm gonna let you believe it's red till you realize one day, oh, it is blue. Okay, now we can talk. Wow. Now we can have a discussion because life is going to teach you. And if you stay stuck, you're not going to have a good, productive life. So I always try to focus on what's the end goal? Where's the end goal? Where we want to be? And if peace is where we're going to be, I'm going to agree with you quickly so we can have some peace. And then I'm going to be here when the sky starts changing on you.
Hey, listen, I thought this was, this is priceless to have Dr. Stewart and Dr. Jones on to talk from both professions, two different perspectives, in two different fields, and to really find out how can we come together holistically and move our people to the finish line, right? Dr. Jones talked about it before, how post-pandemic, at this time we was talking post-pandemic, how the mental health and the mental peace and all of those things were necessary to talk about, even putting psychiatrists connected to the medical field. Dr. Jones, how has it been with you experiencing all of the different your patients and things of that nature during this time? And what are some of the things you've been having to do to go beyond your practice to really kind of help not just your patients but your staff deal with the current conditions that we're in, and then on top of a hurricane, man? Come on.
Sure. Look, I think echoing Dr. Stewart, I always start with I am human, I am a man, and I am flawed. Now, let's get that out the way. whether it's COVID, I'm tired of COVID too.
Yeah.
I want to go out, have a drink with my boys at the bar, and watch the game too. Right? I didn't have power for almost 14 days too. I was trying to figure out what was next, what was happening. But I am also trying to participate in the greater good, and I get that stick stuck on my nose twice a week like everybody else. Yeah, right? Yeah. And again, for me, so in showing I'm human, showing I'm flawed, I'm also trying to show I'm trying to lead by example, right? I always make a point. Like I literally am on. I know you said be careful on the sources you watch, Dr. Stewart. I watch them all because I want to know what both sides are talking about, so I can figure out how to combat the problem. Right.
Right.
So yeah. So I can, but I don't push. I don't badger, and I always start off by saying it is not my goal to change your mind. I'm a physician, I'm a medical professional, and I want to make sure you have clear medical information. If we need to go deeper on a level than that, like what medicine looks like in Black communities and how and what our distrust is of medicine and why it exists, we can walk you down that whole path, right? It's like breaking down hypertension, right? Same type of pathology, but we know better and we do better. And what we're trying to do is do better. And again, all we can do is just one person at a time. So that's kind of why I live with the best ever.
Wow, man, I am so passionate about the mental health, and I keep saying that, and I keep saying that, and I keep saying that because we're looking at, especially in Louisiana, a lot of our mental health infrastructure has decayed over the years, and we're still fighting to get some of those things in legislation to kind of get it built back up, whether it's in inpatient facilities versus just outpatient facilities that just kind of give them a cocktail or prescription and send them on their way. Dr. Stewart, just my last question. I know Dr. Jones got to go. He have on a suit and a tie, Dr. Stewart.
He looks sharp, right? He looks sharp.
And I'm sitting here on the couch, Dr. Jones.
You should have called me. I came to the couch trying to put my Saints jersey on.
Oh, man, you were coming over here in those Saints jerseys, man. And so, Dr. Stewart, what are some of those things that you have to kind of work around in the medical space with just like Dr. Jones said, some of those distrusts that people have with medicine, and I know it kind of bleed over into the psychological space. You get what I'm saying?
Yes, I agree with Dr. Jones. People of color are less likely to come to a mental health professional. They're more likely to go to their primary care physician. And even that is, we're lagging in numbers with healthcare, right? But when they go to their primary care doctor or medical doctor, they can talk about they feel tired or they have unexplained aches and pains. But as soon as he says, well, let's do a depression screening. Oh, I'm not crazy. I don't need that. But they can present at the medical doctor and there's no reason for their symptoms. And so it's already a barrier to get our people to take care of themselves medically. Then there's just another layer when you talk about mental health. We're behind the 8 ball. However, I am hopeful because I think one of the things the pandemic did was force us to start talking to people. And we saw a 30% increase in the counseling center, and the increase was mostly men of color. So I'm excited that now maybe some of the barriers are coming down and people are opening up and willing to talk about their physical health as well as their mental health.
Oh, wow. Thank you so very much for that, Dr. Stewart. Dr. Jones, man, thank you. It's been a joy, man, for you to be on and to come chat with us a little bit about the medical.
Thanks for having me.
Dr. Jones always there. Thank you so very much, Dr. Jones, for joining us and being with us today. All right, thank you, man. I appreciate it so much.
Thank you. Good to meet you, Dr. Stewart.
Thank you, Dr. Jones. Nice to meet you.
Oh, man, that's awesome. We have our next guest. All right, cool. I want to bring on the young lady, Dr. Stewart, and this is our last guest, Tariana Hill. She is the CEO of Understanding. And I wanted the doctor perspective. We had another special guest who had unfortunate death in her family. And then I wanted to bring a young lady who can ask a question from the entrepreneur space. And I think that is essential to how we make it through this as well economically. I heard you say event, effect. What's the next one? Experience.
It's the event, it's your experience, and then the effect.
Yeah, and a lot of economical problems going on around here. So I wanted to bring somebody to come and really kind of ask her question from a young entrepreneur perspective. Let's bring her in, brother. Hey, how you doing?
Hey, all right, how are you?
Amazing. Tariana Hill, meet Dr. Stewart. Dr. Stewart, meet Ms. Hill.
Hi, Miss Hill.
Hi, Dr. Stewart.
Good. Listen, come on, go with your question, Ms. Hill. Let's go. I'm sitting on the couch tonight.
I'll have a page full of notes, honestly. This has been amazing. But I did have a question. I wanted to ask you, Dr. Stewart, what do you think from your experience is the single most impactful daily practice that someone could do to completely change their mental space?
Oh, I'm so glad you asked this question. Okay. What you say to yourself on a daily basis makes a difference. What you say to yourself, I am big on affirmations. And so when you first get up in the morning, if you're a person of faith and acknowledging your creator, acknowledging God, and then what you say to yourself, I am going to have a productive day. I am going to be successful. I'm going to meet the people I need to meet today. I am going to close the deals I need to close today. Money is going to come to me from unexpected places and unexpected resources. I will go. We could have a whole show on how. Okay, so because this is what I know. Once again, I'm a person of faith. So the Bible says faith comes by hearing. Okay, what you hear is what you tend to believe. And so I need to make sure I'm hearing the right thing. And we have a lot of voices competing for our attention. My voice needs to be the strongest. Okay. Wow. And my voice, I'm created in the image of God. So when I say my voice, his voice. So I'm going to echo whatever he's saying about me. Okay. And so sometimes, I see more than faith-based people. So I can't always just use scriptures. So I have to say, you have to talk to yourself. You have to tell yourself where you're going. It's not about where you've been and what's happened to you in the past. It's about where you're going and where you see yourself. And you have to visualize that every single day. I have to say, I'm going to be successful. And that doesn't negate that you're going to have problems. But what I say, for every problem, there's a solution. For every problem I encounter today, there's going to be a solution. It may not come immediate, but there is going to be one. And then you believe that. So that, to answer your question, probably would be the single most powerful thing that I would encourage somebody to do.
Let me get my notepad out.
I love it. I know. I love it.
To catch some of those affirmations when you were slinging them all, Doc. I was like, money coming to me now, and all those type of things. That's the other piece that I want to bring up about entrepreneurship, and I think this is one of those conversations that we most likely have a lot of entrepreneurs that's listening tonight. That when the pandemic happened, they couldn't just lay back and say, oh, my job's still going to pay me for 40 hours, or my job's still going to pay me for 80 hours, or even if they haven't reached a place where they can afford insurance and all of those different type of things, they had to deal with the entrepreneurship, the company, the business. Then they had to deal with their own personal things and property and asset. Then they had to deal with family stuff. And so I think, as an entrepreneur, what are some of those things, Dr. Stewart, that they should be more leaning towards, like affirmations, and what else? What are some of those other things that they have to put into practice every single day? Because when you out there. There ain't no capital, ain't no money to get you. Ain't nobody gonna come and bail you out. Ain't no Calvary gonna come. You have to get out there and grind, right? What are some of those things, Doc?
I think self-care is one of those important things. As an entrepreneur, you have to be intentional about taking care of yourself. As an entrepreneur, everything starts and stops with you. And I saw that firsthand during this pandemic. My fiance is a serial entrepreneur. And so I saw the stress that was on him when this pandemic started, because when you have 120 families depending on you, you have to keep the doors open. You have to, keep the business moving. How do you do that? And so one of the things that I had to encourage him was, you can't be everything to everybody. And you're the leader. You got to make tough decisions. And you have to be okay with the decisions that you make. And one of the ways that you do that is by evaluating what is priority. And this is what I tell people. You have a lot of balls that you're juggling as an entrepreneur, but you have to identify what type of balls they are. Are they glass balls or are they plastic? Because if they're glass and they drop, they're going to shatter. But if they're plastic and they drop, they're going to bounce and you can put them back in rotation. So the first thing is you have to figure out everything I'm juggling that I'm trying to keep afloat. What is glass that I can't let drop, and what is plastic that I can let it bounce for a minute and then pick it back up.
Wow. You know me, listen, I'm about to fly to Dallas. Give my real session. Sorry, you have something else for the doctor? Why you sound like we're in a
I don't have any more questions. This is amazing. I've been taking those the entire time, and you pretty much answered the questions I had and more.
Wow.
Good.
Thank you.
Thank you so very much, Ms. Hill, for joining us tonight and meeting Doc. That was a real great question, by the way, because many people don't even put into practice a lot of things to kind of get them through these times and managing these moments. So thank you again, and I know Doc appreciates those questions.
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Thank you.
Doc, this got to be an interesting thing that every single day you get to bring smiles and happiness on people's day. So as a pastor, right, let me just ask a pastoral question. What are some of your greatest joys of encountering church individuals as well as people who are outside of church? Give me that. As a pastor, it's a connection. What is one of your greatest joys?
One of my greatest joys is when I have a client that gets it, that has that aha moment, and I see where they started, and then I see the growth. I just love when I have these amazing sessions, and they have breakthroughs, and they're like, I get it now, and they're changed. And one of the greatest things for me is when people refer or tell somebody, you know what, all my friend group is now in counseling because of the results I had, whether it's with me or somebody else. So I think that's one of the joys I see is when they impact the world around them because of their experience in the counseling session.
Yeah. Listen, Doc, I feel that, because that's one of the greatest joys as a pastor, to see the flock actually eating, but also implementing what it is that you're feeding them, but also to see the appetite that every they come back with an appetite for the Word of God. And I really wanted to just, in the beginning of this entire thing, and thank you so very much, Doc, for really helping me with that question. I was serious about that, because you see so much division in especially in the church, right? And you see so much of that lingering in the pews, the pulpit, and all those type of things, all because you have people sitting around thinking that if I shoot this person, destroy this person, then that ought to bring me some form of satisfaction, which in contrary, is just expose the mischievous deeds. Or I say it like this, Doc, whenever you're trying to expose my weakness, you're actually exposing your wickedness. While you're doing that, you're actually doing something where people are seeing parts of you that if you wouldn't have touched that. And I just say
exactly. Well, that's scripture. It says the offense is going to come, but woe who it comes by. Yeah. So that's why I keep my mouth off, folks. Yeah, because the offense is going to come, but woe to whom it comes by.
Yeah. Doc, thank you so very much for all you've done tonight. And it wasn't Dr. Jones amazing? I really amazing. Yes. And the young lady, Ms. Hill.
Yes.
That was a real good question. I was serious about that. What are some of those basic practices? Doc, you've done it again.
We're good.
You knocked it out the park again. And I'm going home and I'm gonna replay all this so I can listen to it for real, and to be able to chew on it some more. I really want to say thank you again for contributing to not just the state of Dallas and those different places, the city of Dallas, but also to reach way down here to Louisiana and New Orleans. I thank you so very much.
My pleasure. Anytime.
Once again, thank you, Dr. Stewart.
Thank you.
And it might be a part 3. I might have to put you and all.
Listen, just let me know.
Thank you so very much, Doc, for joining us.
Thank you. Okay, bye-bye.
Hey, listen, thank you all so very much for joining in. There's so many technical difficulties with Instagram and all the rest of those things, but I promise you they're going to be a replay or playback so you can hear this needful conversation. I mainly put this together so people can understand how serious this is. That whenever we start talking about spiritual counseling, that spiritual counseling is one aspect of your mental health. Professional counseling is definitely necessary and definitely needed. And I wanted not just my church, but I wanted everybody who would tune in to really understand that you don't have to fight no battles alone, and that you're not in this by yourself, that there's always somebody to talk to and talk through what it is that you're going through. I believe deliverance can come in the form of dialogue in so many different ways and so many different times, and I want you to take this very seriously. There are so much potential out there and so many things that you can really wrap your arms around. But you have to be mentally. You have to come out head first. There's no way that you can get your finances, your future, your faith, erase all those fears if you're just trying to do it by your hands in some steps. You have to come out head first. And so thank you so very much for tuning in. And be tuned tomorrow. There's going to be a playback so you can get it in this essence of what actually transpired tonight. Thank you so very much for tuning in. This is Pastor Everett. Y'all have a great day. I'm on the couch, man.